Oh, by the way, did Jerry Brown beat Mexican?
Yes.
But yes.
Yeah, Jerry Brown's the new
and
governor.
Barbara Boxer is back.
I thought it was like 60-40 or
Was it?
something. I don't know if it was that wide of a margin, but
We just know he's there.
Yeah, she took a big nosedive there.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, I haven't heard the election results today.
We accept that marijuana is not legalized, which I voted for because I think it would bring money to. We need money.
It's legalized as far as my son goes.
Well, it's legalized. There's medical marijuana that's legalized, but I voted for it. Prop 19. I voted for it to be completely legalized because people are doing it anyway.
Well, I mean, give it another 4 years. Yeah. I think another 4 years people will finally start.
And I'm sober. I don't smoke
every
pot.
Every 18-year-old kid and under that I know has gone to a doctor.
How many do you know?
And had the doctor. All my son's children, all of their friends, every one of them has got a medical marijuana card, basically.
My girlfriends, all of them have medical. I don't smoke, but they do.
It's a done deal.
Yeah, it's going to happen whether we vote for it or not. So we might as well just go ahead and
I think it'll help us financially. And I think it'll raise the certain. There's something with what's our legal drinking limit?
21.
Age now? Is it 18 or 21?
No, it's 21.
It's 21. Yeah. Okay, so I guess we're still good.
Yeah.
I don't think they won't drop that because of driving.
Driving. Yeah.
Right. Now you worked with Jim again on Aliens, and now this was something that I was doing a little bit of research, and I thought this was very interesting. That you almost didn't get that part, right? That was something that
Jim, I didn't get the part actually. They cast.
Did you audition for that part or meet for that part?
No. Jim knew me at that point, and I didn't really feel that. Once you work with a director and you work 10, 12 weeks with a director, they know who you are. They're not going to turn around and audition you. I haven't auditioned for Jim since, but I met him for a few movies, and he just cast James Reed, and it was a little disappointing. But I didn't really expect to be in every Jim Cameron movie that
sure,
ever made. I think it's important for a director to not have a little group of guys that they work with over and over and over again. And
it works for Christopher Guest.
It does.
And Martin Scorsese.
It does to a certain extent.
But Jim kind of does that anyway with you and Bill Paxton.
And Sigourney, and he does. So I was a little disappointed, but not. And then I got a call on a Friday night from Gail asking me if my passport was in order, and I said yes, and she said, well, come on over, we're replacing James. And I was shooting Monday morning, so I didn't have to go through the 3 or 4 weeks of rehearsals and the marching and trying to look like a Marine and all that kind of stuff. And the only thing I didn't like was that I had to put on Remar's wardrobe.
Oh yeah.
And I had to put on his chest plate, and everybody got to design their own chest plate, and all the actors got to design their own chest plate. And his chest plate, he had a heart, right here, with a lock on it. And I thought, oh, that's very cute, but it's kind of like a fucking bullseye, too. So I went in and just jumped right into that, and I had a great time making that, and that was an incredible experience working again with Jim. I mean, Jim is, he's a once-in-a-lifetime director. He really is. Him and Spielberg, Peter Jackson, Scorsese, Woody Allen. I mean, there's a few of them out to Clint Eastwood. I mean, there's a few of them out there, but he is Jim is technologically, and he's not just a filmmaker, he's an explorer, I think he gets more satisfaction from taking a submersible to 35,000 feet and filming unknown animals and unknown fish underwater and documenting that for, humankind than he does making movies. I think of him as an explorer more than I do really as a filmmaker these days. And he hadn't made a movie since he did Titanic, he did Avatar, this 10-year span. He did go down and he did dive the Titanic and he did dive the Lufthansa and they did all of that. But I think he's an engineer, he's a scientist. He special effects guy that without Jim, I don't think you know, Peter Jackson would have, you know, been able to come along as well as he had. And if you look at The Abyss, for instance, and I said this the other day in the interview, you look at CGI now on movies, and you go, that's CGI, that's CGI, that's CGI, okay. But if you go back and look at The Abyss, which is the first time that CGI was really put on film, you look back at it and you go, that looks pretty fucking good for CGI. It doesn't even look like CGI.
Yeah, his films hold up. Yeah.
But the idea that CGI holds up, and 20, 30 years later, they're doing CGI, and the CGI in his movie 30 years before is better than the CGI that they're doing, you know, because they're not spending as much money, they don't care as much, they don't spend as much time in some of these studio movies. And
James Cameron's also a huge advocate of women. Like Dark Angel was about a strong woman, Titanic's about a strong woman, Aliens is about a strong woman, Terminator 2 and Terminator is about a strong woman he's coming to save.
You should know he's had 5 of them. So.
He likes women, apparently. I think he's pretty candid about that too, or in the past was.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about Aliens was that your choice, if I'm not mistaken, your choice on how to play that character was dramatically different from the way James Remar was going to play that character, in terms of the kind of the tone and like more of a sympathetic character. You know, it seemed like I'd heard that Remar was playing a little more hard-edged or a little more mean, I guess.
You know, it's all I can tell you about that is that I think that you're kind of onto something. There's a scene in the movie where Newt we're cruising along and we hear something, and Sigourney says, it's down there, it's down there. We pull up the grating and we see this little girl, and she's cuddled in a corner. And I reach down there, and I reach down there and I say, come here, baby, come on, we won't hurt you, you know. And I have a big smile on my face. And I can remember, and she ends up biting me or something. I forget what happens, but
I think she does.
Yeah.
And, is that right? I think so.
Yeah.
And then, but I remember that Jim said the next day to me, you know, that's a completely different Hicks than the Hicks that we had been filming. You know, the Hicks that I think James, who by the way is a brilliant actor, and you know, 48 Hours, and the Coppola movie about Cotton Club, and
Once Upon a Time in America.
Cotton Club.
Oh, Cotton Club. I'm sorry.
And a lot of other stuff. And I know James, and he's, you know, great guy. And but James, I think, had a darker, you know, slant on the character, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, I liked the idea that I was kind of, you know, a little bit above the fray. You know, the guy who's always falling asleep, the guy who could joke, the guy who was concerned about the little girl, the guy who was like, you know, well, doesn't mean we're engaged or anything, you know, and I always kind of had a line like, no offense, yeah, none take it, dude, you know, I like that idea about the character, you know, and I think Jim let me kind of run with that, and I think it created kind of a, you know, kind of like I always called it a friend affair, not a love affair, but kind of a friend affair between Sigourney and him. You know, they had this kind of friendship that was like, you know, it wasn't a love affair, but there was something that they respected about each other, but also they liked each other, you know.
Yeah. Well, and to me, that scene that you're talking about, the scene with the grape where you're reaching out to her, that's where we as the audience really fall in love with Hicks, because I think you see that amongst this group of all these really tough Marines, that you have some sympathy behind you. You can see it in your eyes, you can see it in the way that you're talking to her, and I think that's where we really kind of start to kind of fall in love with that character.
I waited in line in New York City as an 11-year-old with my first boyfriend to see that movie.
What year was that?
I don't know, what year was it?
Trying to put you on the spot.
I'm 36, everyone.
Yeah, IMDb.
How old are you?
I say in The Victim how old I am.
I know. He does.
She was trying to get me to shave years off. I'm like, nope.
No, I was like, why are you saying 54? And it's just like, that's what I am. I'm like, all right, but he doesn't look 54.
No, you look.
And I say that in the movie. You don't look 54.
I am what I am.